Tonight, we're diving headfirst into the creepy world of Crybaby Bridges. Picture this, a rickety old bridge shrouded in mist with the wind whistling through the trees. Sounds peaceful, right? Wrong. Because legend has it, these bridges aren't just home to crickets and fireflies, they're crawling with the restless spirits of heartbroken mothers and their lost babies. We're talking about those bone-chilling stories that make you want to sleep with the lights on. Get ready to buckle up as we travel from coast to coast, uncovering the mysteries and legends that surround these haunted spans. Welcome to Screamville. From the misty hollers of Appalachia to the sun-drenched backroads of the South, these tales have been passed down for generations, each more hair-raising than the last. We're talking about bridges with names like Screaming Bridge and Devil's Dance Floor, where locals whisper of ghostly apparitions and the blood-curdling cries of infants. So grab yourself a lantern, hold on tight, and get ready for a wild ride as we uncover the truth behind America's spookiest crybaby bridges. Now, you know, every good ghost story needs a good setting. And when it comes to Crybaby Bridges, Ohio's has more haunted spans than a spider's got legs. Yep, the Buckeye State seems to have a real knack for these hair-raising tales. Maybe it's something in the water. Or maybe it's just that Ohioans know how to spin a good yarn. Whatever the reason, Ohio's Crybaby Bridges are the stuff of legends. We're talking about bridges with names like Dead Man's Crossing and Whispering Willow Bridge, where the veil between the living and the dead seems to thin out just a tad. But amongst all of Ohio's spooky bridges, there's one that stands out as particularly bone-chilling. Sitting in the rolling hills of Doylestown, Ohio, lies Rogues Hollow, a place steeped in history and shrouded in an eerie silence. At the heart of Rogues Hollow stands the infamous Crybaby Bridge, a rickety wooden structure that has become a magnet for ghost hunters and thrill-seekers alike. The bridge itself is nothing fancy, just a simple wooden span stretching over a shallow creek. Locals will tell you that the bridge is haunted by the spirit of a young woman who met a tragic end there. Some say she was a heartbroken mother who, driven to despair, took her own life and the life of her infant child. Whatever the truth may be, one thing's for sure: Rogues Hollow is a place where the past refuses to stay buried. Now, people who've been brave enough to visit the Crybaby Bridge at night tell tales that would make your blood run cold. They say that as the sun sets and darkness descends upon Rogues Hollow, the air grows heavy with a palpable sense of dread. The temperature drops, a chill wind whips through the trees, and an unnatural silence blankets the woods. People whisper of seeing a ghostly figure, a woman in white, gliding silently across the bridge, her sorrowful sobs echoing through the night. Some say she's searching for her lost child, her cries a mournful lament that chills them to the bone. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying that there's something eerie about Rogues Hollow and its infamous Crybaby Bridge. Now, we're heading on over to the heartland of America, to the land of Lincoln, Illinois. Just outside the charming town of Monmouth, Illinois, stands another Crybaby Bridge, a silent sentinel guarding a dark and troubled past. This isn't any ordinary bridge, folks. This is a place where whispers of tragedy linger in the air, and the echoes of a mother's anguish can still be heard. This bridge, shrouded in shadows and draped in moss, has seen more heartbreak than a country music song. So get ready, because we're about to dive deep into the chilling story of Monmouth's Crybaby Bridge, where the wails of a lost soul are said to haunt the night. Now, the story goes like this. Back in the day, a young woman in Monmouth found herself in a predicament, a situation as old as time itself. She fell in love, found herself with child, but the father was nowhere to be found. It was a scandal, a shame in those days. The weight of the world, it seemed, fell upon her young shoulders. Driven by despair, the legend says she took her newborn baby to that lonesome bridge. It's a story that continues to haunt the Crybaby Bridge in Monmouth, Illinois. The locals in Monmouth, they'll tell you that the bridge isn't right. They say that if you go there at night, especially when the moon's hiding behind the clouds, you can still hear the echoes of that mother's anguish. Some people claim to have heard the faint cries of a baby carried on the wind, a chilling sound that sends shivers down your spine and makes you want to hightail it out of there. They say that the bridge remembers the sorrow, the heartbreak that unfolded there all those years ago. Whether you believe in ghost stories or not, there's something undeniably eerie about that old bridge in Monmouth. Now folks, hold on to your hats, because we're heading south to Maryland. a state steeped in history, and you guessed it, haunted by its fair share of crybaby bridges. Maryland's got its share of spooky spots, but none quite as eerie as the Crybaby Bridge nestled in Prince George's County. This ain't just some rickety old bridge, folks. This is a place where history and heartache collide, leaving behind a chill that runs deeper than the Chesapeake Bay on a winter's morning. Each whisper, each sigh of the wind through those old wooden planks seems to tell a different tale of loss and despair. So buckle up, folks, as we delve into the tangled web of stories surrounding Maryland's Crybaby Bridge, where the echoes of the past refuse to be silenced. One of the most prevalent stories is rooted in the dark days of slavery. They say that back in the 1800s, a young enslaved woman, her heart heavy with grief, was forced to make an unimaginable choice. Her baby, her precious child, was sick, and she knew there was no hope, no help to be found on the plantation. Driven to desperation, she took her baby to that bridge, the sound of their mingled sobs lost in the rustling leaves and the rushing water below. They say that her cries of anguish, her pleas for mercy, still echo through the woods, a chilling reminder of the horrors that transpired on that bridge. But that isn't the only story. Another story tells of a distraught mother from a more recent time, a woman driven to despair by a tragic accident that claimed the life of her infant child. They say she couldn't bear the thought of living without her baby, so she took her own life on that bridge, her cries of anguish echoing through the years. And then there are those who whisper of a ghostly figure, a woman in white, seen wandering the bridge at night, her sobs carried on the wind. Some say she's searching for her lost child, her cries a mournful lament that chills them to the bone. It's a place where sorrow lingers, where the weight of history hangs heavy in the air. Well, people were packing up our ghost hunting gear and moseying on over to the Bluegrass State, Kentucky. Land of fast horses and smooth bourbon, but don't let that fool you, because even in the heart of horse country there are tales that'll make your heart skip a beat. Tucked away in the hills and hollers of Kentucky, there's a stretch of road that's as famous for its spooky stories as it is for its scenic beauty. They call it Sleepy Hollow Road, and let me tell you, the name is no coincidence. So gather around, folks, and let me spin you a tale about the Sleepy Hollow Crybaby Bridge, where the cries of a lost soul are said to echo through the night, sending chills down the spines of even the bravest souls. Now, I guess every town's got its share of ghost stories, but Sleepy Hollow Road, well, it's got a whole passel of them. And the Crybaby Bridge, it sits right smack dab in the middle of it all, like a spider in its web, just waiting to snag the unwary traveler. The bridge itself is nothing fancy, just a simple concrete span over a lazy creek. Folks say the bridge is haunted by the spirit of a young mother who lost her baby in the creek below. But they say that if you go down to that bridge at night, especially when the fog's thick enough to choke a horse, you might just hear her mournful cries, a wailing sound that'll chill you to the bone. Now, I've talked to people who swear they've seen her ghost, a white figure, gliding across the bridge, her arms outstretched, searching for her lost child. They say she's doomed to wander that stretch of road for all eternity, her cries a constant reminder of the tragedy that unfolded there. And then there are the sounds, people. The sounds that'll make you wish you'd stayed home. Folks talk about hearing a baby's cries, faint and mournful, coming from the creek below the bridge. Some say it's the wind whistling through the trees, but others, they know better. They know it's the restless spirit of that poor lost child. So if you're ever driving down Sleepy Hollow Road and the fog starts rolling in, well, you might want to step on the gas and get out of there as fast as you can. Now, do you ever wonder why these Crybaby Bridge stories, they stick with us? Why, generation after generation, folks keep telling these tales around campfires and under the covers with flashlights? Well, I guess it's because these stories, they tap into something deep within us, something primal, something that resonates with the very core of our being. You see, at their heart, Crybaby Bridge stories are about loss, about the deep, unyielding bond between a mother and her child, and the unimaginable pain that comes with breaking that bond. These stories, they remind us of our own mortality, of the fragility of life, and the ever-present possibility of tragedy. They force us to confront our deepest fears, the fears of losing those we love most, the fears of the unknown, and the fears of the darkness that resides within us all. Now, isn't it something how these Crybaby Bridge stories, they often come with their own set of rituals, like honking your horn 3 times as you cross the bridge, or rolling down your windows to listen for the cries of the baby. These rituals, they're more than just spooky fun and games, folks. They're a way for us to test the boundaries of belief, to confront our fears head-on, and to feel a connection to something bigger than ourselves, even if that something is the chilling unknown. It's like we're saying, all right, spirits, I'm here, I'm listening. Show me what you've got. It's a way to tempt fate, to dare the darkness to reveal itself. And let me tell you, there's nothing quite like the adrenaline rush that comes with feeling like you might just be staring into the face of the supernatural. So why do we keep coming back to these crybaby bridges? Why do these stories continue to captivate our imaginations and send chills down our spines even after all these years? Well, I guess it's because these stories, they offer us a glimpse into the shadows, a peek behind the veil of our everyday reality. They allow us to explore the dark corners of our collective psyche, to confront our fears, and to find a strange sort of comfort in the shared experience of fear and wonder. Crybaby Bridge stories are a reminder that we're not alone in our fears, that the darkness, it touches us all. And in that shared darkness, in the shiver of fear and the thrill of the unknown, we find a strange sort of connection, a bond that transcends time and logic. And that, my friends, is the enduring allure of Crybaby Bridges, a timeless blend of history, mystery, and the irresistible pull of the unknown. Well, we've traveled from coast to coast, explored haunted hollows and shadowed creeks, all in search of the truth behind America's spookiest crybaby bridges. We've heard tales of heartbreak and loss, of mothers driven to despair, and the innocent souls lost too soon. But these crybaby bridges, they're more than just spooky stories we tell to get a good scare. These bridges, they stand as silent sentinels, bear witness to the pain and sorrow that have unfolded beneath their spans. There are crybaby bridges from Texas to Oklahoma to the Carolinas. They are everywhere, and they remind us that history isn't always pretty. But, you know, there's also something else about these crybaby bridges, something that goes beyond the fear and the sorrow. They represent a connection to something bigger than ourselves, a link to the unseen world, the realm of spirits and shadows that exist just beyond our perception. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying the power these stories hold over us. They tap into our deepest fears, our fascination with the unknown, and our innate desire to believe that there's more to this life than what we can see and touch. These bridges, they become portals to our imaginations, places where the veil between the living and the dead seems to thin, allowing us to glimpse the possibility of something more. They remind us that we're part of a grand tapestry, woven together by threads of joy and sorrow, life and death, the seen and the unseen. So, the next time you find yourself near a crybaby bridge, take a moment to listen. Listen to the wind whistling through the trees. Listen to the water rushing beneath the bridge. And listen to the whispers of the past. You might just hear something that sends a shiver down your spine and makes you question everything you thought you knew about the world around you. If you want more ghost stories and scary legends from around the world, please be sure to subscribe.